Hey, Steve Zelenardo here with Remax Treviso North Realty. Current inventory for the week, we're at 29,542 units, so that's very similar to last week, which is good. Again, we don't know, historically, when we're going into Christmas, you're going to see a drop-off of inventory, but we don't know where we're going to be because the circumstances have changed in the market clearly. People are wanting to sell, people can't afford to keep their homes, so they are selling. So we might even see a pile up because by this time here, going into November, we should have a drop off of inventory quite substantially, and it's almost like status quo. So whatever we're selling, we're putting back on, and that's just week over week viewing that. Amount of sales has been amazing. 895 sales in the last 7 days. This is fantastic, and this is what we're telling clients. Again, our advice, and we're not going to change what we think that's going to happen in the market. If you've seen one of my previous videos where it showed where 2020 was with properties, or 2022 at the height of Canadian real estate, and where it dropped off. So 22, 23, 24, and where we're at 25, and then also our prediction. If you haven't viewed that video, have a look at that video. If it doesn't scare you to sell what you have now in hard assets, I don't know what would. Because you talk to some clients and some friends, even family members, that everyone's on this mentality where it's like it's Canada, it's Toronto, it's Ontario, it's going to snap back. But if you're not looking at the whole scale, because historically, economically, an economic boom bust cycle will pop back. You never sell your real estate as long as you can hold it. You're going to have this, great property. You're going to have appreciation in the future. You might even buy some stuff in the downturn. That's what a traditional market. So we understand that. We've always capitalized on that. But this is a different situation. Canada's never gone through what it's going through right now. This is a European effect. Again, I'm going to read an article shortly, and I'll show you some telltales of where the future of Canada is, and it's scary. It's very terrifying. If no one's really kind of like, when you're looking at an article, you can't just read the whole thing. You got to highlights different points of it, and it kind of gives you the true picture of everything. And this is how we look at whatever we're, whatever we're looking at in real estate and how we're predicting the future of the market. So you definitely got to take a look at that. And that's why we're advising clients: sell your hard assets, sell your investment properties, get rid of them. If you don't plan on leaving Canada, if you're going to live there clearly, then that's fine. Just consolidate debt right now. Just make sure you're in a strong position to hold whatever you have. And for example, we've been on a tear. We've been selling all our listings that we have listed for clients, which is great. These are a lot of our clients that listened to our advice. Sell now, sell your hard assets, cash out, put that money. Either they're going to pay off their property, make sure they're debt free, so that even if there is a big downturn, their house will never be taken from them. That's the whole point. We want to make sure our clients are all safe and secure. This is why we're not buying houses that are over leveraged for clients. We're making sure we're providing as much information to our clients in order to make the right decisions. And there's always going to be an opportunity to thrive in a market, right? Like this, obviously, you just don't want to survive. You want to thrive. And this is all the information we're giving you, because again, we're not of that, fun. I'm a very serious guy. I'm always business-like, so it's not like I'm going to be jumping in a pool and acting like a fool. I'm literally just basically giving you information where you can take back to your family, make real decisions, and you'll change your lives for the future. This is our goal as a company. It's always been. We're doing all these social media. We're always on. And to be honest, if I wasn't in real estate, I would delete all apps and wouldn't even look at anything. The only reason why we use social media is like either I'm going to produce a message that I believe in that's going to give people great information and spend the time doing this, or allow someone that's mediocre that's just going to be commission based and ultimately lead you down the wrong path. So it's almost like a fight between good and evil right now. So this is why we started doing these in 2016, to make sure that we spread the message where it's real deal information, where we don't bullshit. We're always giving you the right stuff up front so you can make real decisions. And this is what our fear was with even when I used to start door knocking and cold call, and it was like and again, I'm an introvert by nature. I don't like disturbing people any which way. So me to make 70,000 cold calls a year and speak to 8,000 people on the phone was very, very hard for me. And the only reason I did it is to trick my mind. Is if I don't make these calls today, some mediocre agent will do that and give these poor sellers a terrible experiences, poor services, and make this a real bad deal for them. So that's why you had to I fought this mentally to make sure I made these calls, because if they're going to deal with me, I'm going to give them all the right information, give them great service, and ultimately get them what they want in the time they want. That's the whole goal of those cold calls. So, and if you're starting to look now, we had an amazing year. We're probably almost at 50 deals right now, because again, we're in a tear. For last week, we're at probably 45, 46 in the in Canada, and now we're almost at 50 right now because we unloaded another 3 listings for clients. We've had a fantastic year, and we know, like in the industry right now, that a lot of agents are, in terrible shape right now. They're not doing many deals. They're not taking in many listings. They've been hibernating. They don't know how to come out of this mentally. And you'll start seeing a lot of agents like popping from one real estate brokerage to another. And just to kind of let you know to the public, this is not an agent that's actually looking for or just increasing his, he's not doing this for business. This is basically, it's almost given, you need something new in order to kind of move forward because their career is not where it is right now. So that's why you'll see a lot of hopping in real estate right now. A lot of realtors getting out of the market, to be honest. They're not renewing their licenses and just kind of getting out. Obviously, we always have a new influx of realtors coming in. So you're seeing a lot of movement. This is why if you kind of look at our schedule and our regiment in our daily lives, this is what gives us the strength mentally to kind of hold on to whatever we have, build up on it, fight hard, organize, plan, and kind of move forward. And this is when clients are dealing with us, they're not dealing with just a typical realtor. We're realtors, rather, like our small team. This is basically a different mindset, how we approach everything. So kind of go from there. And let's look at this article. There's my rant of the day. Let's look at this article. And this article is a little scary at the end. And I I'll highlight why. But let's just read this. So right now, this is the headline: Stalled housing projects in Greater Toronto Housing Association significantly outnumbered active projects. So right now, there was 2,200 projects approved last year, and only 481 active. So do the math. It's 25% of the approved projects are actually going to break ground. So what happens is, if you look at that, and a lot of this probably turned into, some of them broke ground, they sold or sold in the previous market. So if you're going to break down a condo, it's going to take 2 to 3 years to get to that point. So if there's 481 active projects, this is of a past sale, because we know we're not selling any new condominiums right now by far. So if you look at the 481 active, a lot of these products were condominiums originally. Just think about it. You've raised all this money, you got the land, the market's going to shit. What do? You convert your condominium for sale into like a residential purpose-built rental. So like these big condos turn into apartments, rather. So a lot of that's turned into here. And if you look at it, there's an oversupply of rental units right now, especially in the GTA in Toronto. If you look at how many properties are for lease, because every time when we try to lease out a property for a client, especially a condo, it's going to be a fight, and you're going to have to lower pricing it. And Mike Gaddy talked about this in one of our podcasts, where tenants are approaching us when we have leases in a condo, and it says, okay, what's in it for me? What's my incentive? This building, which is a purpose-built rental, is giving us 3 months free plus cash back. So what they're doing is just they're filling the property up. And then what that does is also for financing, it shows that they have valid leases on file, and they'll get their money out or whatever they're going to do to refinance the property. So that's a whole different gimmick. Is it legal? I don't know. There's a gray area for sure about it. But I mean, ultimately, they got a signed contract for someone for a year. How they got them there, it's a different situation. That's obviously through incentivizing the tenants. But that's what that does. The mom and pop landlord gets affected by that. This is why we tell clients, condominiums are always the worst. They're the worst investment ever. It doesn't matter in which market you're in, they're the worst. Because if you think you're making a cash appreciation year over year, even in a great market, try to put that into just a small townhouse north of the city and see how much more money you're going to make than that condominium, because there's so much competition and so many buildings coming up. And what's the next best building? Is that this new best building better than your building? So now it's going to depreciate. Unless it's like in Yorkville or some strategic location, then that's always going to hold a little bit more value. Another thing is for resale condominiums and new construction. This is why we got no new construction condominiums. If you look at that, average prices for a condo are $1,200 per square foot. This is unsold average, okay, in new condos. Resale, same units for $867. So that's literally, it's 28% difference. So it's 28% lower to buy a resale than a new construction. This is why obviously new construction is failing. This is a 10-minute mark. I'll tell you why this happened. Okay, so this is not even the builders being greedy. It's just cost of land, cost of development, cost of labor. Okay, so you're gonna put a project together. You have all these mega costs, and then you're gonna put your profit on top. Is it 15? Is it 30%? Whatever you're gonna do. So if a unit comes out for 200,000 all in, you sell it for 260. That's 30% profit. Let's just say. Okay, so after all, let's just for easy numbers, that's 260. What's happening is, and call whatever you want, like you regarding politics, you gotta look at what is the better version of your future. Forget about the colors. Like, everyone gets so tribal and they want to, they're so hard on making, sticking to their brand or sticking to their colors. Like, who gives a shit? Like, if you're left or right, it's all about the future for the kids. If the left wing has better policies to produce better environment for your kids, then you're going to vote left. If the right is having better policies, you vote right. So this to kind of clarify that. Forget about the colors. You got to look at what's going to give your kids a better future. And if you look at the Liberals, they've destroyed basically everything in Canada right now. This is why you're starting to see the largest migrant or the egress out of Canada in Canadian history. There's an issue with that. That's bad government. So if you're a left wing or you're a liberal and you think that's not true, look at the facts. You got to get your head out of the sand and kind of review what's happening, because Canada's changed dramatically in the last 10 years through the Trudeau government. But forget about that. Why these costs are so high is because, again, another liberal policy from the provincial Prime Minister, yes, I forget these now. So the provincial Prime Minister McGuinty locks down land into a green belt. So what happens with the green belt? Before, builders were able to buy land anywhere and then start developing. What happened is they locked up in green belt and it had to concentrate where the building was getting done. So they concentrated cities. So what that did is it put more strain on the cost of land. So now the cost of land, development charges are through the roof because that's a Canadian way to do things, overcharge and everything. Labor costs are extreme. So what that does is, who pays for all this? It's the end user. So liberal government policies back in when McGuinty was in power caused this situation right now. Domino effect. Never forget what happened and what causes things, because nothing just happens right now. You have people blaming Donald Trump for Canadian economic deficiencies. No, Canada was dead as soon as Trudeau took government. I got to tell you that much. So ultimately, yeah, and that's basically what happened with that. And the end user ends up paying for this. But let's keep reading on here. This is even more alarming. So I don't know who wrote this. Wu is the last name here, but ultimately, if you look at it, what they said, this is another article. Toronto renters should make about 44 hours per hour comfortably to afford one-bedroom apartment. Okay, so what's happening is, they call this the invisible poor, which is basically high income and they're spending all their money on survival in Ontario. So what this gentleman's saying is that it's causing issues to attract talent, because if you're paying you're trying to attract foreign nationals, foreign employees, and you want to have them work for you because they're very they're going to be beneficial to your business, but ultimately whatever they make, it's just basically offsetting the expenses of living in the community. So they're saying that's an issue to attract talent for these big businesses. And this is what's the more frightening thing, is this right here. I'll read it. So many employers are talking about the fact that a lot of their ability to attract or not being able to attract talents because they can't afford to live in the GTA. Okay, so that's an issue. So let's look at, if you kind of look at it here, what he says here, this is the more frightening thing. The federal government also signaled the need to lower home prices. Okay, that's another thing. Where is what I read yesterday? So instead of waiting for the market to kickstart after supply levels out, Hildebrand suggested civic action called, government action called for stalled projects to be taken over by different interests, such as nonprofit groups or major employers. So what they're saying is they're basically going to create properties for employment. So a big employer has a factory, and how do you get people to kind of work in this factory? You're going to build a building and you're going to stick your employees in this building. Let's just say that. Now, if you don't know about communism, that's the greatest sign. It sounds like China currently, right? If they're going to be building housing next to their facilities, either it's going to be nonprofit or employers that are going to build in these facilities. This is basically communism in a sense, where now a Canadian, they cannot afford to live near their employers and they need to be housed in order to afford it, which is kind of scary. So just keep that in mind going forward. This is why we feel The climate has changed, the culture has changed for Canada. That's why you know, a lot of people are moving out of Canada right now and looking for the future of their children. This is another, you know, great way to look at it right now, where we're heading as a country. But that's pretty much it, guys. Have a great day. Bye bye.